As Kevin mentioned there, my name is Deirdre Mulhern. I'm based in Donegal and in Dublin, and obviously everything is online at the minute. So my business is DM Career Conversations. And the talk today is everything that you wanted to know about changing career, but were too afraid to ask. So hopefully there's a few wee tips in there for you to get started on your journey, if that's where you want to go. So as I said, my name is Deirdre Mulhern. I'm a career coach. So some people, I'm sure you've met a lot of career coaches on this already, but a career coach is someone who can help you to obviously find the work that you want to find, like a new job, but it's also for people that are interested in career change and they're not too sure about where they want to go. So it's great to get advice from a career coach. I've used a career coach myself in the past, and that's kind of what led me down the path that I am today, which I'm so grateful for. So I'm also an employee well-being coach. So this is kind of dealing with any issues that an employee might have. That ranges from any number of issues. They maybe feel like they're unhappy at work, or they're not getting the right work-life balance, or whatever it may be. Maybe there's a burnout issue, too much stress, or issues with your colleagues and so on. So I deal with that kind of thing as well. I'm also a people and performance consultant. So I help different businesses with their people strategies, helping to develop plans for that and implement it within their business. And I'm also a people, leadership and soft skills trainer. So I can provide all of those types of soft skills and train either individuals, kind of bespoke one-to-one, or else come into a business as well to provide that information to employees. I also have a Mentor Me mentorship program. That is a brand new program that we launched a month or two ago now at this stage, and it just finished up. So we launched the first mentorship program, and it was a huge success. And you can find out more about that in some of the details there down below, the website there and the Instagram. We have lots of information about it on there. So it was a huge success if you're interested in becoming a mentor or want to be mentored. So that's one of the programs. I also have a podcast that's coming up in the new year. It's called Working It with DM Career Conversations, obviously a pun on the word work there. But that is something I'm really looking forward to launching in the new year. I also have a My Career Audit and Success Plan journal coming out. And this is something that I'm hugely passionate about, and it's kind of at the end stages now. And it's kind of suitable to anybody who's in a career and wants to assess where they're at, reflect on where their career is at and how to go to that next stage. So you might not necessarily want to change career, but maybe you want to see what other possibilities are out there, and really just take that time to sit back and reflect on what's my career at, what stage is it at, what do I want out of my career, what do I enjoy, what do I not enjoy, and so on. So it's a really a great thing to have, a journal, and something that people can use, especially during this COVID time. I think people have turned to that kind of writing and journaling, which is a great thing just to feel like you're kind of gaining control of your life. So it's kind of a bit of a self-exploration. And finally, I'm a career columnist with Donegal Woman magazine as well. So you might be asking yourselves, why am I here to talk about career change? So I have been there, I've done that. I've gone through the career change process myself. And I know that feeling of feeling anxious, feeling confused, not knowing where to go, so many options, so many decisions, so many opinions that you might have to deal with as well. And it can be a very stressful time in people's lives. And it can take, months, years even to kind of realize, what, this career that I'm in currently is just not fitting my needs anymore. It's not making me happy, and it's time to leave. And it can take a lot of confidence and strength to get to that stage. So I'm just going to briefly walk you through my journey so that you can maybe relate to some of this. So I started out with my leaving cert like everybody else. I worked very hard during that time because I wanted to make sure that I was giving myself the best opportunity, but I wasn't too sure what it was that I wanted to do. So I went down the path of primary school teaching, which is a great career, don't get me wrong, but it genuinely wasn't for me. For a number of reasons, but that's for another day. I kind of just went with it because I felt like it was a secure job. It was going to be pensionable. And being from Donegal, you know, there weren't that many big opportunities to work in businesses and so on. So I kind of felt like, okay, this is the safe thing to do. My dad was a teacher. So I thought, right, I'll go down that road because it's a safe bet. So I was a primary school teacher for 7 years. Which kind of seems like a long time now, to be in a role that doesn't really suit you. And it felt like a long time as well. But then what happened after that, I realized that, you know what, I need to explore my options. What else is out there? And I had this idea that I would love to be involved in event management. So organizing big events and all of that. And I just thought it would be fun and glitzy and like something I'd be passionate about. But then having done the diploma, at the end of it, I realized, you know what, even though it was a great diploma, I realized I don't think event management is actually for me. So it was definitely worthwhile doing that diploma to also, you know, to get the skill for event planning and so on, but also to make me realize, you know what, this isn't for me. And that's fine. I saved myself the time and energy that I would have put into maybe a larger degree in that area. So it was definitely a worthwhile thing to do. And then I decided to meet with a career coach. So as a teacher, I don't know who's a teacher out here, but like you kind of feel when you're teaching, your teacher, that's all you can do is teach. You're often told that, and to think outside of that box is almost laughable sometimes, or at least that was the perception that me and some of my colleagues would have felt. So I met with a career coach, and it was after meeting with her that I realized that there are options out there for me. And she validated like for me that I do have those options. And she gave me that belief in myself that I could go on to do other things, that I had transferable skills and so on. So then I studied a master's in work and organizational psychology, which is kind of like business psychology, work psychology, which is an area I absolutely adore. It's what I kind of work in now. So it's just something I'm hugely passionate about. So yeah, I made my career move. I left my teaching job and I started working in an engineering company. And this was by no means my dream job. But as I have said there in brackets, it's a stepping stone job is what I like to call it. So it's that kind of job where you're going from you're finishing off in one career, but you need to find a job that's going to give you that little bit of experience, that's well enough paid, but mightn't be the fantastic pay that you're looking for, but it's enough to keep you going, to get that experience within that first business and giving you that exposure to that new industry so that you can move on after a couple of months and find kind of a better job that you actually really want. So I got the good experience there. I was able to add that to my CV, and yeah, I was very happy with that. And then after that, I did land a job that I really, really loved. So I was very lucky, and I worked then for the biggest social media company in the world. And this is something I absolutely adored. So that's my story. So I can completely relate to anyone that wants to change career. So if we were in person now, I would love to have done this activity, but it's a question that I want to ask you guys, and just think about the answer. So give me a thumbs up or just in your head if you get the Sunday night fear. So think about it. Do you get the Sunday night fear every night on a Sunday evening? And the reason I'm asking you that is that I used to get that when I was unhappy in my job. But like now, I never get that. And that's not to say that you want to leave your job or change career. Well, but it is a sign that maybe you need to look at your career in some way, because really and truly, you shouldn't be like hating going into your job the next day. So have a think about it. It's a good way to gauge how you're currently feeling about your job. Okay. So sometimes one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what will be your biggest obstacle to making a career change? And people think, right, what is it? The workload, like the research that you have to do, so on. And if I'm being honest, and something that I see come up again and again when I'm working with my clients as a career coach, the biggest obstacle that I see for people making that career transition is their biggest obstacle will be you, or you know, you're going to be your biggest obstacle. And people have a lack of confidence. They fear failure. They feel that they might fall flat on their face. They fear what other people will think. And this is, you know, something that comes up again and again. They lack their ability, they lack their belief in their own ability to do a good job. There's this idea of like a imposter syndrome, like I don't think that I'd be good enough compared to somebody else, or I don't belong there, or all of these things. And they can't make a decision sometimes because of confidence issues. I always think that when you can't make a decision, it often boils down to not having the confidence in and belief in yourself to make that decision. So some of those things will need to be addressed if you're going to move forward. But yes, sometimes I would say the biggest obstacle to making that career decision or that career change will be you. And if you can get on board with yourself and say, look, I have the ability, this is something I really want to do, I'm willing to commit to this, I know I'll be happier if I'm in this other career, then I would definitely go for it. So this is a question, and it's, what are you waiting for? And I'm not trying to be sarcastic when I say that at all. It's a genuine question. What are you waiting for? And the reason I ask this is because some people, they know that they're unhappy in a job. They know that the job isn't for them, but they will come up with all of these excuses, and they'll say, oh, you know what, the job is fine, or sometimes I like it, or you know what, it pays well, or I haven't got the time to study for something else, or I like, the list is endless of all the excuses. But the question here I'm asking is, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for that moment when you're at a complete, you know, rock bottom, and you're saying, I'm genuinely deeply unhappy in this? So it's about thinking, you know, what are you waiting for? What sign are you waiting for? This is a nice quote that I really like. It's from Tony Robbins. I'm sure you've heard of him. But I really like this quote, and that it kind of sums up the people that are willing to make that career change. And then there's other people that will talk about making a career change, but they never will. So this is a quote by Tony Robbins. So change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. So when you get to that point where you can't handle the pain of being in that particular career anymore, is when you will want to leave. So yeah, that's when the pain of going through the change won't seem so bad, and which is an awful way to be. So that's why I asked the question, what are you waiting for? So don't get to that stage where the pain gets so bad within your current role. Like, if you notice, you know what, be honest with yourself, this isn't for me anymore, or I've grown this career. You know, be honest with yourself and start on the path of exploration of what else is out there for me before you get to that rock bottom stage. Okay, so the next thing is the 18-40-60 rule. Now, again, if we were in person, I would love to ask you guys, have you ever heard of this? And it's a really simple rule, and it always sticks in my head. I think it's because it's the numbers. So the 18-40-60 rule is, when you're 18, you worry what everybody is thinking of you. When you're 40, you don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you. And when you're 60, you realize that nobody has been thinking about you at all. And I think this is spot on. It's really good. Because we worry so much about what other people are thinking of us. We worry, this thing of falling flat on our face. What will they say about me behind my back? But at the end of the day, everybody has those thoughts, and everybody's only worried about themselves. So you're better off just going with what it is and being true to yourself and going with what it is that you actually want to do, rather than worrying about what everyone else is thinking, because at the end of the day, they're probably not worried about what you're doing at all. So it's just a nice little reminder. So getting started, then, I would say get yourself a support network in place. And this doesn't have to be a large group of people. I would choose a very small number of people to let them involved in the process. Tell them how you feel. It could be 2 people, 3 people, even 1 person. Tell them how you really feel about your current situation, because sometimes people are so unhappy about their job, and then they only kind of speak about it when they get to that rock bottom space, or that stage. So speak up early and say, you know what, this is how I currently feel. I'm not really feeling it anymore. It's kind of making me a little bit unhappy, so that they're going to start to understand you better, and they'll be in a position to support you better whenever you're going to make that career transition. And only tell those people, this is my personal opinion, but I would only tell those people that you really trust. Because if you start telling everybody, sometimes as you know, like people will have opinions and they might say, oh, this is a bad idea, or that's a good idea, or whatever. And sometimes too many opinions will just clog your own opinion of it. And your opinion is the one that matters the most. So I think this is a good start, and you need the support of other people, those that you love and that you trust when you make that career move. Next thing is to get organized. Again, this is a very simple tip, but it's so important. Get organized so that you're not going to get frustrated. You know, plan out a little bit of time each week or whatever that you're going to use to research what jobs are out there, types of roles, because we often don't know what types of roles are out there. So it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of research. Get organized, buy one folder or one notebook where you're going to have everything down, where you're going to keep records of things, you know, information about all of the jobs research that you're doing. And yeah, if you just keep it all in one place, it's for the best. It'll help you. Take action. Move past analysis paralysis. I love that phrase, analysis paralysis. So this is basically when we go over and over and over and over an idea in our head. And of course we should, it's a big decision to change your career. At any age, it's a big decision. And of course you're going to analyze it and go over it again and again. But at some stage we can go over and over again and almost talk ourselves out of it. Or make it into this bigger deal than it actually is, or that it has to be. So I would say, like, at some point, just say, right, at this point, I'm going to take my first step. It doesn't have to be a huge one, but just start to take action at some point, and it'll naturally go in the direction that it's meant to go anyway. So yeah, that's the analysis paralysis. So small, manageable chunks. So again, as I said, small, manageable chunks. If you see a career change as this monumental thing, oh my God, I'm changing, I come to a completely different career. It's going to be this big shift in my life. I don't like change, and if you start overthinking about all these things and see it as one massive big step, then you might again talk yourself out of it. So the best thing to do is to see it as small, manageable chunks. You know, set out a timeline of things that you want to do, small, actionable things, and then it won't seem like such a big deal. The next thing is to speak to people. And this is not, again, to get their approval. We've already established that, but to learn from them. And this is something I tell my clients when I'm career coaching all the time. We have so much resource around us, but we forget about it, or else we're too afraid to ask people. So I might want to work in fashion or something, but I know people that have fashion Instagram pages, or I know someone who's worked in retail in fashion or in buying or something, but I'm too afraid to ask them, like, why would they want to tell me how they've done what they do? But that's not true at all. People are more than happy, most, like 99% of the time, to share their story of how they got to where they are. And in most cases, they'll be flattered that you've reached out to them. And people have so much, they've so much wisdom, they've so much knowledge on an area, they're experts really. So talk to them, you know, have an informal chat, you know, ask them what their day-to-day looks like so that you can get more information about it. If somebody works in a certain job, ask them what's it like to be a buyer for a company. You know, try and engage it that way. Or if somebody has done a course that you're thinking about doing, so a diploma in something, ask somebody, find out on LinkedIn who has done that course. You know, just say, hey, thinking about doing this course, or even reach out to one of the lecturers or the chairperson for the course and say, hey, just wanted to learn some more about this. And people are more than happy to help. And it's a great starting point. Next thing I'd say is to learn something new. And again, this doesn't have to cost a fortune. And I'm really against that idea of things having to cost a fortune if you want to change or transition career. There's so much information out there, sometimes too much information, but we do have all that information at our fingertips. And that's why I say to do some research in small little, you know, chunks of time, rather than, you know, spending days upon days researching this stuff. So we have access to books, we've access to articles. There's lots of free online courses to give you a taster of an area that you might be interested in. And then there's obviously diplomas, which are shorter, or different short courses that give you a taste and an insight into the world that you might be interested in. And this, you know, saves you from doing a full-on degree or a full-on master's. And yeah, it can save you time and money in the long run. So I always think maybe dip your toe in the water to see what it's like before you fully commit to something. Another question I get a lot of the time is, when should I start this career transition process? Like, should I start thinking about it while I'm in my current role? Or should I quit my job and then move into the new career? And what I would always say to people is, even if your timeline is, okay, I want to change career in 2 years from now, there is never too early a time to start planning this. You should always be thinking ahead. And yes, I would say start your planning while you're in your current role. Maybe you're able to do a part-time course as well that you're able to do while you're working, so that you're going to be paid during that time. So yeah, I just think there's never too early a time to start. If it's something that you want to do, the earlier the better. So this is something that I would have wanted to hear about whenever I was thinking about changing career. So as I mentioned, I was a teacher, and a lot of people didn't talk about reasons for wanting to leave a career. I had no idea if people wanted to leave a career or reasons why they would. And it was only when I did my thesis that I actually explored this area of why people want to leave a job and what's really important to them and what's forcing people out. So some of the reasons that come out are really interesting and maybe something that you can relate to. So a lack of growth, lack of personal growth, like you don't feel like you're growing within the job. A lack of professional advancement, so you don't feel like you can move up or there's no other avenues for you to go within that career. Poor manager support. Lack of appreciation, this is a big one. And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, that you're getting a pat on the back every day or a massive thank you. You know appreciation by someone's reaction. It can be something small, and that can be a big thing that forces people to want to leave their career or job. It can be not challenging enough. Maybe they're getting a little bit bored with it. A poor work environment, and maybe they don't feel like they belong. Emotional reasons like stress, burnout, emotionally drained. And you might see this in the likes of, caring roles like nurses or teachers and that kind of thing. A work-life balance, that's a reason why people mightn't want to stay. A lack of flexibility, maybe they're not open to being flexible with working hours for you. A status, maybe there's not a good status with the job. Maybe the reputation of the job has gone downhill in recent years. Poor salary or benefits, maybe you realize, you know what, there's other people getting better salary and benefits out there for the work that they're doing, and I want in on that action. A lack of innovation, so they're not evolving with the times. Unmet expectations about career, so you might think, right, great, I want to be a nurse. You've always thought that growing up, but the reality of it is very different. A lack of trust and respect. A lack of autonomy given to employees. Poor relationships can lead with colleagues, can lead you want to leave, and fed up with the red tape and traditional viewpoints. So again, this is kind of a lack of evolving. So another thing is to look at all of, so in this here it says, look at all the jobs I'm not qualified for. So this is again being sarcastic. So the reason I have this here is, so I have this example over here, then again, I am a teacher, I'm not qualified to do anything but teach. So this idea that you're not qualified enough to do something else is everywhere. Everyone has this idea, and it's just simply not true. And I would have had this idea as well. I'm only able to teach. That's all my degree was in. That's all I'm qualified for. Nobody will want to hire me outside of that. And that is simply just not true. And if you think about it, you have so much to offer. You have a lot of transferable skills. Most skills nowadays are transferable. Things like communication skills, relationship building skills, IT skills, organizational skills. The list is endless. So you have loads of transferable skills if you actually take the time to think about it and write them down. You have so many. Another thing there is, what else? Let me think. So you think that you're not able to do anything else, but that's not true. You have loads of work experience. So you're not the same as somebody that has just come out of college. You have all that professional work experience, but you also have life experience to add to that as well. So don't disqualify yourself from a different career, and don't automatically assume that you need to go on and do another degree, or that you're going to need a master's or some massive qualification to get in. In some cases that are kind of in niche areas, yes, you might need those, but in a lot of areas, you know, there's definitely opportunities out there for you. So job search, when you're looking for types of jobs, so there's so many types of jobs out there that people don't even realize. I don't know all the jobs out there. Like they're like, because the reality is that that recruiters or people in companies, whenever they're creating a job title, it can be different from one company to the next. So they just create the job title. So they can all look a little bit different. And so just when you're researching, I always just say, if you're interested in a topic like wellness or health or training or teaching or something, just search that into one of these websites, and then lots of different options will come up. So use that as your research. You know, what kind of areas could I work in health? You know, and it'll come up with all of these different areas. Or education, what types of jobs are there for education? Or designing, or content designing. There's so many different areas, and it's only whenever you do a little bit of research that you'll see what is out there. And again, you might need a little bit of patience with this, but it's definitely a worthwhile task. And something that I do as well is I set up a job alert as well. So to see kind of what types of jobs are coming up, so you get emails regularly. And if you're bored and you happen to see your email come in, you might take some time to read through the job description. And I have these 4 websites here. Publicjobs.ie has public service jobs. LinkedIn is a great one. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, I would just set it up. It doesn't have to be very detailed or anything, just a very simple one. And there's lots of jobs on there. Irishjobs.ie is another great one, and Indeed. And then again, there are the companies themselves will sometimes have jobs on their websites as well. So that's another place to look. So a job description, I often tell my clients as well that the job description is kind of like their Bible. You know, people don't use it enough. So, you know, you're going to be using that when you're, you know, writing up your CV. It's going to be your go-to. You know, if they've said they want this, then that kind of should be in your, it should be mirrored in your CV. But even when you're reading a job description, like to see, am I qualified for this? Could I work in this area? You will read the first line, and like recruiters, when they're writing these job descriptions, they often will write them, and I'm sure people have noticed this, they'll write them in a way that sounds really complex, and in a way that, you know, it thinks, oh my God, you'll think, oh my God, this is a very hard job. I'll never be able to do this. This sounds, you know, like a really high up position. But a lot of the times it's just the way it's worded. So what I would say is, when you're reading it, don't panic and say, right, I'm not able for this, and X out of it. Read it, read the first line. And what I always say to my clients is, whenever you read the sentence, try and read between the lines. Ask yourself, what is the skill that they are asking for here? Is it that they want good communication skills? Is it that I need to be able to use Microsoft Word? Is it that I need to be able to build relationships with people, or have, you know, there'll be lots of different words like stakeholder management, or and that's really just being able to have relationships with people, or work in a team. So ask yourself, what is it the actual skill that they're asking for here, to simplify it, and then ask yourself, do I have an example of that? And I'm sure that you have done that if you've worked in another job. So that's kind of the little tip that I like to give people. So just try not to get overwhelmed by the job description piece. And again, do you have to tick every single box? Do you have to be able to do every single thing that a job description says that you have to do? No, definitely not. When they're writing a job description, they're asking for somebody who is an ideal candidate. And maybe you are the closest person to that ideal description. So definitely, you know, as long as you've got maybe 80% of what they're saying, I would say that it's okay to apply for it. So a stepping stone job, I've mentioned this idea already. A stepping stone job is when you're moving from one job to another job, or one career to the next career. It mightn't be your dream job, but you know, it'll be that stepping stone job where it'll give you that bit of experience. And you might have to take a tiny bit of a pay dip, but it'll be worthwhile once you get that experience on your CV. So I'm just conscious of time too. I'm just going to go through these quickly. So question comes up, am I too old to change career? No, you're not too old to change career. There's examples there. Another thing is, these are a few questions that I often will ask my clients. So what percentage of your time do you feel unhappy or unsatisfied about your work? Do you believe in yourself? If you decided to change career in the morning, would you be willing to put the time and commitment into it? What would happen if you stayed in the same position, in the same job? And how can you see your career growing in this new career over the next number of years? Okay, am I out of time?
No, you're okay for another couple of minutes.
Okay, perfect. I'll go back. So do you want to change career or just change job? So again, this is a question. Is it just that you just don't like your particular job? Maybe you don't like your manager or your colleagues. So maybe it's just a case of changing job rather than changing career. And people that want to change career will often have felt this way about it for a while. So it's just a question to ask yourself. And is it a case of the grass is always greener? So be true to yourself. So then a career and self-audit, these are a few questions you might want to ask yourself. What do I enjoy and where do my strengths lie? What do I dislike and what should I avoid now that I have some work experience? I know things that I really enjoy doing or dislike doing. What are my needs and values? What do I need to have? What do I value in my work? Do I value autonomy? Do I value challenging work, and so on? Where are my opportunities? Who can I speak to? What opportunities are around me in my locality? Any opportunities that you can think of. Risks and threats, so these are immediate risks or threats, or things that might happen down the road, like if there was a recession to happen. These are some things you might need to think about. Confidence levels and belief in yourself. Ask yourself, assess where your confidence levels are, and do I believe in myself to succeed if I go for this? And then ask yourself, what effort and dedication am I willing to give to this? Am I willing to give it 100% if I decide to go for it? And the last thing is then, so it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can dip your toe in the water. You don't have to jump off the cliff like it does say in the picture there. Maybe you can take a career break from your job. There's different options out there. And at the end of the day, if you do try something new, you can always go back to the career that you had originally. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. So one thing, will be patience will be key. And that's why I say start early, but it's very doable, and enjoy the journey if you are doing it. And I would love to help in any way if I can on your journey, because it's very doable and very manageable. And that's all from me. So thank you so much. And here is my contact details as well. So the website and the Instagram, DM Career Conversations, and you can email me as well.